Discover the incredible truth. 7 frozen wolves transformed my life with a heartwarming secret. The morning air bit at Jack's cheeks as he trudged through the snow-dusted streets of Maple Hollow. The dull hum of his routine echoed in his mind. The clanging of tools, the scent of oil. His garage felt more like a cage than a sanctuary. But little did he know, life was about to throw him a curveball that would shatter the monotony like glass beneath a hammer. That day, a flicker of excitement sparked within him when he found the frozen wolves by the riverbank. Their magnificent forms, encased in ice, glistened under the timid winter sun, like ancient spirits caught in time. Jack's heart raced. They were stunning reminders of strength and resilience amidst the harshness around them. He adjusted his cap, peering closer, as if they might wake and run free. Each wolf seemed to whisper a secret to him, the kind of secret that could ignite change, not just in him but in Maple Hollow. He hurried back to the community center, an idea glimmering in his mind. Maybe the town needed this, a spark, something beautiful to rally around. But as he unfolded his discovery before the townsfolk, their doubtful eyes met his enthusiasm with cold skepticism. They saw him only as the town mechanic, a grinder of gears, not a messenger of magic. "They're just frozen wolves, Jack," one gruff voice called out. "What's that got to do with us?" The weight of disappointment settled on his shoulders as he nodded quietly. But deep within his heart, he sensed they were more than that. In Native American folklore, the wolves symbolized community and interdependence, truths mirrored in the fabric of their town. And yet, a shadow of doubt crossed Jack's mind when, at home, the heat of arguments with his father reared its head. Wolves? What next? His father scoffed. "We bury 'em deep to honor their memory, not treat 'em like some kind of park exhibit." Veins pulsing, Jack felt the distance grow between them. He was caught in a generation gap, a strong tide of tradition clashing against the shore of his modern dreams. But Jack was undeterred. That night, fueled by perseverance, he dug into research about the wolves, fierce memories of unity and bravery sparking through each tale. He envisioned a community coming together, forgetting their struggles and thriving as one. He had to share it. In the upcoming meeting, he could feel emotions swelling within him like a washing tide. The wolves could symbolize our strength together. We're stronger as one. But before he could capture the room's attention, a sharp rebuttal cut through. Why should we listen to a mechanic? The question hung in the air like snowflakes frozen before falling. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Jack felt the eyes of his neighbors on him, disappointment and anger swirling like a cyclone. His chest tightened, the shame of being underestimated gnawing at him. But he stood his ground, still clutching to hope. Can we allow the past to blind us from potential? These wolves are not just frozen, they are a chance at unity, a reminder of who we can be. He had just opened a door to change, but would anyone dare to step through it? Jack only hoped he would find the courage to lead them all into a new dawn, leaving the starlit beauty of those frozen wolves behind as a beacon of hope. Jack's heart pounded as he faced the room. The tension felt like a heavy blanket smothering him. He glanced at the townsfolk, faces illuminated by the flickering overhead lights, all still skeptical and disinterested. He couldn't lose hope. Not now. "Listen," he started, urgency flooding his voice. "I found those wolves frozen by the river, right? They're not just animals. They could be something more. They could remind us of our roots, our history in this town, the strength we share." He could see some people shifting uncomfortably, caught between embarrassment and curiosity. "Yeah, what about other towns?" A woman finally spoke up, her voice tight. "They have events. Festivals. Culture." "Yes. Exactly." Jack exclaimed, his enthusiasm bubbling over. What if we host a festival to celebrate these wolves, to bring people together? We could turn it into a project for the kids, teach them about nature, resilience. This could be massive. It could pull our community out of this rut. Murmurs of disbelief swept through the crowd. Jack felt the weight of their doubt pressing against him like a relentless winter storm. He tried to catch eyes with anyone willing to listen, urging them to see past the frozen carcasses to the glimmer of something more profound. Do you remember the last time we celebrated anything? He pushed on, his voice rising with emotion. It's been years. Sure, life has been busy. We've got jobs, bills. But these wolves, they could awaken a spirit in us we thought we'd lost. With every word, Jack's fear transformed into raw determination. He thought of his father's skepticism, of the deep scars their family had borne through loss. Jack's throat tightened. Look, I know I'm just a mechanic, he continued, but that doesn't mean I don't care about this town or its people. For a moment, he felt the guardians of Maple Hollow were watching, the wolves encouraging him silently, their frozen forms embodying the unity he craved. One man, older with a gaze as piercing as ice itself, spoke, "And what does it matter, Jack? Hold a festival, sure, but it won't change our lives. Hard work and tradition, that's what shapes us." Jack took a deep breath, feeling the warmth of stubborn hope coursing through him. But what if bringing everyone together, even for one day, changes how we feel about ourselves as a community? Hard work is important, but so is connection. We need each other. We're not just struggling individuals, we're a team. Slowly, the crowd's energy began to shift. A few heads nodded cautiously, while others leaned forward, intrigued. Maybe it's worth considering, a voice whispered, breaking the tension like sunlight piercing through clouds. Jack's heart lifted as he saw glimmers of change, the flickers of acceptance dancing amidst throats clearing and murmured thoughts. Could it be that his vision for unity, catalyzed by the frozen wolves, was beginning to ignite something within them? He couldn't allow himself to let this moment slip. Let's brainstorm together. I want to hear your thoughts. We can work as a family, not just as neighbors. That's what the wolves represent. As soon as those words left his lips, he sensed a shift in the atmosphere. The edges of doubt began to soften, like icicles melting in spring's embrace. Conversation sparked anew, hesitantly at first, but then gathering strength, a ripple of hope. But just as things seemed to build momentum, a loud crash sounded from the back of the hall. Everyone spun around, and Jack's heart sank. What was that? Someone gasped. Standing there with his arms crossed was his father, rage boiling from every pore. This nonsense ends now. You're not going to waste everyone's time on fairy tales. The room squeezed tight around Jack, shock rippling through the crowd. They lurched forward, uncertainty in their expressions. His father had tossed a wrench into Jack's hopes with the force of a blizzard. Would Jack be able to convince his father to embrace this change? Jack's stomach twisted as the reality of his father's interruption settled in. The discontented murmurs of the crowd faded behind the pounding in his ears. He had felt a spark. Now, it flickered like a wounded flame in the face of his father's fury. "Dad, please." Jack's voice trembled, fighting against an undertow of frustration and fear. "You don't understand. This isn't just a fairy tale. The wolves, they aren't just dead animals for us to forget. They represent something bigger. Something that could bring people together." His father narrowed his eyes, the lines of age and worry etched deep into his face, a visage that could reforge steel. "Bigger?" he barked. "The world isn't going to change because of wolves and festivals. We've got real problems to deal with. You want to waste our time and resources on a silly dream?" The crowd swelled with a collective tension, uncertainty churning amongst them. Jack locked eyes with his father, trying to convey the raw emotion coursing through him. "This is about our community. People are hurting. We need a reason to come together to reconnect. You remember what it was like, don't you?" For a fleeting moment, Jack saw the flicker of something in his father's eyes, an ember from long ago, a memory of laughter and joy. But the moment faded, eclipsed by doubt. "Life isn't about memories, Jack. It's about surviving, his father retorted coldly. You think throwing a party will solve anything? What's it going to do the bills? The worries? The losses? His father's words pierced like a knife, and Jack's heart sank. The room was thick with a strange kind of silence, a suffocating quiet, as if everyone was holding their breath, waiting to see if he could sway the storm. Maybe it won't fix everything, Jack conceded, his voice softening but growing more intense with determination. But it can open a door. We need to hold on to some hope, old man. If any of us wants to rise from this mess, we have to start somewhere. This could be that spark. The crowd seemed to lean in, caught in the tension between father and son, the air charged with unsaid words. Peering past his father, Jack noticed that whispers had morphed into low murmurs. Some faces displayed sympathy, others, indecision. Jack, you're naive if you think a festival will change things. This town needs grit, not fluff. His father snapped, but his voice carried a tremor that suggested something deeper was at play. I know we need grit. I'm not saying we don't, Jack shot back, his pulse quickening. But what's wrong with having a little joy mixed in with all the hard work? Can't we have both? The wolves survived against all odds. Look at them. They remind us that life can still thrive in the dead of winter. They teach us resilience. It's our turn to be resilient too. His father fell silent, eyes narrowing as he considered Jack's passionate plea. Jack felt the weight of his gaze, the heavy silence punctuated by the growing hum of the crowd around them, like waves lapping at the shore, and then, just as the heaviness of the moment threatened to crush him, a familiar face emerged from the sea of discontent, a woman from the audience. Maybe he's right, she hesitated, glancing at her neighbors. We haven't done much of anything together in years. Is it really so silly to think we could celebrate something? Or at least try? Jack's heart leapt. A small ripple of agreement began to spread through the crowd, hesitant but undeniable, even stirring some nods from those who had been most skeptical. See, Dad? Jack pressed, voice full of hope. Even just a festival could start a conversation. It could heal old wounds. He looked around, searching for support, his heart longing for acceptance. The air pulsed with tension, but hope flickered at the edges like dawn breaking through night. Jack returned to his father, still unsure. What if we start with the festival? We can make it our project together. Something for us, for Maple Hollow. Show me that you believe too. As Jack's words hung in the air, an uneasy silence settled in once more. Would he find the strength in his father to embrace this chance? Would they, together, dare to dream of revitalizing their town and themselves? His father's face was a storm cloud, the anger still simmering beneath the surface, but the fight was beginning to wane. The question lingered, charged with possibility. Could they move forward as one, or would they remain locked in the shackles of the past? The silence stretched, a taut line ready to snap, as Jack held his breath, waiting. In the depths of his father's steely glare, Jack searched for something, anything, to suggest he might find common ground. For a split second, it felt as if the room were spinning, a whirlwind of uncertainty swirling around him. Then his father shifted, the tension in his shoulders easing just slightly. You really think this will work, don't you? His voice was softer, almost bewildered, as if Jack had just opened a door he had closed long ago. I do, Jack replied, his heart racing. I really do. This isn't just a party, it's a way to remember what we've lost and what we can still have. We can't just shovel dirt over everything and move on. People need connection, Dad. The crowd seemed to inhale sharply, an electrical energy vibrating through them. Jack could feel the waver of hope pressing against the edges of despair. Let us say I agree, his father said, crossing his arms, still harboring remnants of skepticism. How do you even plan to start? Who's going to help? Just, start small, Jack urged, leaning into his words with fervor. I've got some ideas. We could set up stalls at the park, people can sell their crafts and share their stories. It will draw everyone in. Come on, look around. These people, they want to heal too. We just need a little push. Jack's excitement mingled with nervous energy, casting a bright ray of possibility across the room. He found himself hoping that his father could feel it too, the slight easing of tension among the crowd, the slight nods from familiar faces urging the more reluctant ones to let go of their reservations. Fine, his father said, the word heavy like an anvil, though it was tempered with curiosity. Fine, we'll explore this ridiculous idea of yours. But if it fails, I want you to understand that nothing good comes from wishful thinking. Of course. We'll work together, Jack said, relief washing over him. It was a tiny victory, but it felt monumental. The murmurs of agreement in the crowd swelled, gathering like a rising tide, and Jack could feel the air vibrate with renewed energy. They could do this. Suddenly, another voice called out, louder and sharper. What about the wolves? A man at the back of the audience stood with tension in his jaw. You can't just brush over the reason we're all here. What do they have to do with any of this? Jack turned to the man, a wave of anxiety crashing over him. The wolves, they remind us of resilience. They show us that life continues, even when we think everything is dead. The festival is for them, and for us. Again the crowd shifted, the lingering doubts battling the budding optimism. Jack saw faces soften, whispering among themselves, exchanging ideas, reigniting those old connections. His father watched, the storm clouds on his face ebbing away. Okay, then, he said, a hint of reluctant acceptance creasing his features. If we're going to do this, we need to make it count. I will help, but it has to be right. No room for mistakes. Absolutely, Dad, Jack nodded vigorously, a profound gratitude blooming within him. We'll make it count. I promise. As Jack looked out at the crowd, he saw different expressions: hope, fear, a trembling kind of excitement. They were on the cusp of something big, something transformative, but it would require every ounce of effort, every bit of connection they could muster. All right then, he spoke again, compelled by the momentum in the air. Let us plan a meeting tomorrow. Everyone who's interested, bring your ideas. Help make this festival reflect who we are and what we can become. As he spoke, Jack's heart raced with the possibilities spreading out before him. Can you feel it? He thought, an infectious thrill dancing in his veins. This is just the beginning. But just when he thought they were on the path to something beautiful, the lights flickered, casting eerie shadows around the room. A crack of thunder echoed outside, abruptly silencing the gathering whispers. Maybe that's a sign? Whispered someone near the front, anxiety creeping into their voice. Jack felt his chest tighten. What if the storm was a warning? What obstacles lay ahead for them beyond his father's reluctance? Would the community truly rally together when the going got tough? They had come so far, but the shadows loomed, and he couldn't shake the feeling that bigger challenges awaited them on the horizon. The thunder roared again, and the lights flickered violently, almost as if the very spirit of the storm were responding to Jack's words. Jack could feel the weight of the room pressing down on him, a palpable tension hanging in the air. Heartbeats filled the silence. He could hear them, thumping in sync with the storm outside. Do we really want to be doing this? A woman in the front finally asked, her voice trembling. What if we can't handle it? What if the wolves come back? The crowd murmured, her fears echoed in many hearts. Jack stepped forward, the heat of determination rising in him. The wolves didn't make us lose faith, we did that ourselves. We need to believe in our strength, in our community. We've been hiding too long, letting fear take charge. But we can change that. His words stood there, heavy like the dark clouds outside, and Jack held his breath in anticipation. His father's sharp gaze shifted between him and the restless crowd. He could feel the gears of resistance grinding slowly but surely in the minds of those gathered. They were scared, and so was he. But fear didn't have to define them. Maybe the storm is what we need, Jack continued, feeling something stir in his chest. It's a reminder that even the darkest moments can lead to beautiful transformations. Just look at nature. After every storm, there's growth. Together, we can weather this. The corners of his father's mouth twisted slightly. For a moment, Jack sensed the old man's memories capturing the quiet moments spent with him and his late mother, the laughter, the lessons, the hikes into the woods where the wolves lived. The stories he told Jack about the wild nature outside, how it reminded them of their own strength. Perhaps somewhere deep down, that connection had not completely faded away. The murmurs began to lift, like a shy bloom pushing through packed earth. People started to nod slowly, their fear easing as they contemplated the possibility of renewal. "I like that," someone said from the back, a gentle crack in the thick wall of apprehension. "We can make this festival about facing our fears, just like the wolves do." Jack felt warmth flood his chest. "Yes. Let us bring back the memories of our loss while rising above them." As the crowd began to share their own ideas, voices blended into a beautiful cacophony of hopes and desires. They were leaning into that moment of uncertainty, choosing to find strength in each other instead of hiding in shadows. Jack's father stood tall, still scrutinizing, but a flicker of pride danced in his dark eyes. The storm rumbled outside, but inside the room, something monumental was taking shape. Ideas were born from vulnerability, tethering each of them to a shared experience that transcended fear. Yet, just as the energy vibrated, a flash of light illuminated the room, blinding and sudden. The lights went out completely. Silence swallowed the voices, darkness pressing down on them all, thick and heavy. Jack's heart slammed against his ribcage. "Everyone all right?" He called into the void, his voice trembling. He could faintly hear whispers, worried breaths cutting through the dark. His gut twisted into knots as the panic began to seep back in. Suddenly, a small voice piped up, filled with a mix of anxiety and excitement. "What if we make this festival about the wolves fighting against the storm? About hope in the dark?" Everyone paused, listening into the dark. "Hope in the dark," Jack muttered, the idea igniting a spark in his heart. But would they truly be able to create something to light the way, or was this just another way to brush off the real issues looming like shadows over their lives? As uncertainty loomed outside, as even louder thunder cracked through the night, Jack wondered what lay ahead, not just for their festival, but for the community he loved. Would they step into the light of possibility, or retreat into the comforting darkness of complacency? Only time would tell. Jack stood in the oppressive darkness, feeling his heart race. The thoughts swirling in his mind were disrupted by a soft, tentative voice from the crowd. "We can face this, can't we? Together?" The question clung in the air, a fragile thread between fear and courage. Jack took a deep breath, his instinct kicking in. "Yes. This is our chance. Whether it's storm or wolves, we can't let anything else hold us back." He could hear shuffles of feet on the floor, murmurs of agreement growing louder, inching closer to a collective resolve. It felt like the storm had crept inside them, brewing something fierce yet beautiful. Jack pushed his way through the darkness to the front where his father stood. "We're all scared, Dad, but if we make this festival a beacon, something that can guide us when things get rough, I know we can find our strength again. It's not just about the festival, it's about lighting the way for each other." His father's features softened, and for a heartbeat, Jack thought he saw a flicker of hope mirrored in those weary eyes. "You've always known how to inspire," he finally replied, voice steady despite the darkness. "You have your mother in you. We can find a way to give them the light they need." The tension in the room shifted slightly, like a gust of wind cutting through stillness. Jack could almost imagine the faces of the gathered townsfolk illuminated as they shared the warm, welcome glow of camaraderie. "Let us ignite that fire within ourselves," he exclaimed. "Each of you holds a spark. We can reflect on what we lost while bravely stepping forward into the unknown." Then, with a sudden clap of thunder, the room vibrated again, almost encouraging the sudden energy Jack felt tightening in his chest. The whispers became louder, bolder. People began brainstorming together, their imaginations ignited. "Let us tell stories of the wolves," someone shouted. "How they roam under cover of shadows and survive the fiercest storms. Let us organize activities that show how we can work together, how we've always protected one another." Another added. There was no stopping the ideas now. They poured from every corner, a wave of vibrant possibility washing over the room. Jack felt elation tuning with the storm's intensity, the unsettling realization of change filled with something almost magical. In that darkness, hands began to reach for one another, clasping tightly like roots finding soil. Laughter mixed with tears, and hope it thrived. Just when Jack thought they had turned a corner, a shadow loomed at the back of the room. It was Jake, a member of the community known for his cynicism. The air shifted again as he spoke, his voice gravelly and low. "You think it's that easy? Renovating a festival 1T change what's out there. The wolves will always come back. You're all dreaming." A hush fell over the crowd, and Jack's heart sank. Doubt seeped back into the cracks he fought so hard to mend. How could he stand up to that voice of despair when it echoed the fears clawing at him too? But then, in a moment of clarity, Jack realized, this was exactly what they were fighting against. If we don't try, what will we lose? We might fail, but we might also thrive. His words felt like a lifeline he was throwing out. The air crackled again, both with thunder and the energy of the people around him. All eyes turned to the flickering window where lightning flashed briefly, illuminating the room before plunging it back into darkness. Jack felt time slow, heavy with anticipation. Would they rise to the occasion, unleash the light within, or let fear chart their course? And just as the storm outside howled, Jack sensed they were the ones not only hoping but ready to fight. Their festival was just the beginning. But just as the whispers of determination began to spread, another fierce clap of thunder cut through, and the ground beneath them trembled ever so slightly. What did that mean for their struggle ahead? It seemed the storm was not done with them yet. The room was thick with tension, an electrifying charge that danced between the townspeople like sparks in the air. Jack stood, heart pounding, as the silence pressed heavily down. He felt the collective breath of the crowd, caught somewhere between despair and hope. The darkness seemed to amplify every heartbeat, every unsettled whisper. Jack, his father's voice broke the quiet. "Not everyone will see it like you do. Do we really have the strength to take on this challenge?" His father's brow furrowed, uncertainty clouding his eyes. Jack glanced around. Faces ranged from eager to skeptical, all waiting for someone to spark the fire once more. In that moment, he wasn't just the son, he was the hope of the community. "Yes. We do. I believe in us," he shouted, his voice ringing out above the storm's crescendo. "If we don't face it now, we might never have another chance." He could see the slight loosening of hardened expressions, the shifting of shoulders as people took tentative steps toward bravery. Nods began to ripple through the crowd like a wave, fueled by the conviction in Jack's voice. "Let us start planning right now," he urged, grabbing a nearby lantern and lighting it. The flickering flame cast warm shadows, dancing across anxious faces and igniting resolve. "Let us gather stories. Every family has one." The enthusiasm in Jack's voice, infectious, ignited sparks of shared memories. "Let us share how we faced fear together. We can write them down, display them during the festival. Let us make it a celebration of our survival." An elderly woman stood up, her hands trembling as she spoke. "I remember the night the wolves first came. It was chaos, but we all pulled together. Neighbors helping neighbors." Her voice cracked, but there was strength in her memory. "We defended our homes together. We can do it again." "Exactly," Jack replied, feeling the energizing pulse of hope once more. "Let us remind ourselves of our past victories. Each story is like a flicker of hope. We can weave them together to show what we are capable of." As ideas flourished, laughter and chatter began to fill the space, signaling a shift. They planned games, music, and storytelling sessions that would allow everyone to participate. The festival was transforming, now a commemoration of their resilience, their unity, but then came a new voice, and the cheer fell silent. "But why? Why put ourselves at risk again?" "We're just inviting trouble," Jake interjected, his presence darkening the room once more. Jack felt a twinge of frustration. "We're not inviting trouble, we're facing it. We can't hide forever. Every time we let fear win, it just grows. If we stand together now." He paused, letting his breath hang in the charged air. If we stand together now, we can make something beautiful out of this mess. Behind Jack, the sound of thunder rolled, its rumble echoing Jake's sentiment. Yet, this time it felt different. Instead of scattering hope, it was like the storm was rallying them, a reminder of the power they could harness together. A young girl raised her hand, her voice small but resolute. I say we try. I want to share my story about how my mom helped everyone after the last storm. We need to show that we're strong. She spoke with a fierce determination that was contagious. Jack's heart swelled. Yes. Let us do this together. Right now, let us write down all the stories and ideas. We can turn this fear into light. Together. The last word hung in the air, reverberating against the walls, and one by one, the townsfolk began to rise, gathering closer together. They reached for each other, clasping hands, faces illuminated by the lantern's glow, shining brighter through the storm outside. Just then, another tremor coursed through the ground, stronger this time. They looked at each other, unease creeping back, but within the collective warmth, Jack felt a flicker of light against the enveloping darkness. What does that mean? Someone whispered, fear creeping back into the corners of their gathering. Jack took a breath, staring into the uncertain shadows. Maybe this was just part of the storm, maybe it was a warning. But there was no denying one thing, they were ready for whatever came next, stronger together than apart, and with that thought lingering, Jack clenched his fist. No matter what happens, we'll face it. Together. The gathering turned to look outside, where the storm howled ferociously as if waiting for their reply. Would the darkness relent, or would the tempest accompany their festival of resilience? The night was far from over, and the battle ahead loomed just beyond their grasp. The tremor beneath their feet reverberated like a haunting echo, shaking more than just the ground. It rattled the fragile sense of unity that had just begun to bloom among them. Jack's heart raced. He glanced at the faces around him, some that sparkled with newfound determination, others clouded with lingering doubt. Stay strong. He called out, forcing conviction into his voice, even as fear nestled in the pit of his stomach. If we can face the storms together, we can face anything. As if triggered by his words, the storm outside unleashed another gust of wind that rattled the windows, sending a shiver through the crowd. It seemed to mock him, reinforcing Jake's earlier fears, but Jack refused to give in. We've dealt with worse. It's time to remember that. He shouted above the clamor, his words stretching into the wailing wind. Who's with me? Let us stand together and show this storm our strength. Slowly, hands began to rise, clenching tightly into fists, signaling agreement. Murmurs of support swirled like a gentle breeze, growing until they became a chorus of voices, each undeniably hushed yet powerful. Jack felt warmth wash over him, a collective heartbeat filling the room, steadying his nerves. Let us start with our stories, he suggested, looking for a way to ground them. Everyone here has faced something, right? Something that proves we're more than just our fears. The elderly woman spoke up again, her voice imbued with fervor. I recall not just the wolves, but the way we rallied. We kept each other safe through the darkest nights. Her words hung in the air, their weight palpable. Jack watched as Jake lowered his gaze, feeling the shadow of doubt lighten just a touch. There was something about shared experiences that bound them together, reassuring them of their resilience. As stories unfolded, Jack scribbled them down on the paper spread across a table, a tapestry of struggle and survival. It became a makeshift altar of courage. Stories flourished like flowers bursting through the frost, each one a testament to their tenacity. I helped my neighbor during the flood, spoke a young man, his voice strong but shaking with emotion. We saved each other's homes that day. Jack looked up, hope kindling in his chest. Yes. You see? Each story is like a thread weaving us tighter together. Not just through fear but through strength and love. His eyes sparkled as he scanned the faces around him, hearts warming despite the darkness thrumming outside. Then, another tremor gripped the place, and a woman gasped, clutching her son. Jack took a step towards her. It's okay, he said softly, yet firmly. We've just got to hold on to each other. The storm raged on, but as they exchanged these heartwarming tales, Jack noticed the pulses of light dimming in the corners of the room, replaced by the flickering glow of hope spreading out like a beacon, a shared flame in the face of uncertainty. Suddenly, there was a loud crash outside, the sound sending a jolt of terror through the crowd. Jack's heartbeat quickened. "Stay together. Don't let fear scatter us," he shouted, urgency lacing his words that he felt the intensity rise, adrenaline pulsing as the townspeople huddled closer, both frightened yet determined. And then something extraordinary happened. From their silence, one courageous voice sprang forth. "I'll go check it out," a boy shouted before dashing toward the door, fear mixing with bravery. "Wait." Jack raised his hand, but the boy had already opened the door. The wind howled violently, threatening to sweep him away, but he stood tall. Outside, shadows danced among the trees. Jack hesitated, his heart both leaping and sinking. "We must be ready for whatever comes through that door." With every eye fixed on the entrance, the room became a blend of breathless anticipation. Could the storm bring more than just chaos? Would their festival of resilience meet something more? And just like that, Jack's mind raced with 100 questions. What awaited them on the other side of that door? The door creaked open, revealing a world of swirling snow and gusting winds. Jack squinted into the chaos, heart pounding in rhythm with the storm outside. The boy, barely out of his teens, stood defiantly at the threshold, his silhouette outlined by flashes of lightning. Jack called out, "Come back." But his voice was barely audible over the roar of nature. The boy looked back, uncertainty crossing his features. But something gripped him, some urge to confront whatever lurked beyond the safety of their gathering. Jack took a step forward, craving to protect the courage that the boy held, while a part of him admired it. The wind howled, and Jack's instinct for self-preservation clashed with the excitement of discovery. What if there is something out there worth seeing? He thought, imagining a wolf or something as majestic, something that might hold a key to his uncertainty. As the boy stepped further outside, he wavered for a second. Jack shouted again, "Wait! We're here for you." But it was too late. The boy bolted into the bluster, and with him went the last thread of restraint within the gathering. One by one, others began edging toward the door, curiosity overpowering their fears. "We can't leave him alone out there," a woman murmured, glancing at Jack with wide eyes filled with a mix of admiration and dread. "Let us follow him. Together," Jack proclaimed, feeling the solidarity swelling within him again. He took the lead, stepping into the storm, ushering the crowd behind him. Faces set with a mix of determination and trepidation emerged slowly, gripping onto each other for the journey ahead. The wind whipped at them cold and biting, but within that cold, there was something warm stirring in the hearts of everyone. They were not just stepping into darkness, they were bravely choosing to confront the unknown together. Jack's gaze darted around, searching for the boy in the chaos. Through the flurry of white, he spotted him not far away, glancing back wildly while facing the overbearing elements. "Are you all right?" Jack called out, his breath visible in the frigid air. "I think I saw something," the boy said, his voice barely carrying. "What did you see?" But before the boy could reply, a figure emerged from behind a snow-laden tree, a sliver of gray darting against the white backdrop. Gasps rippled through the group as they squinted to gather their thoughts. "It's a wolf," someone shouted, half exhilarated, half terrified. Jack's heart raced. Memories flooded his mind, the tales of wolves from the woman earlier that night. The boy pointed, eyes wide with wonder. The wolf stood regal, embodying both ferocity and grace. Was it real? Or were they all just seeing things in the chaos of the storm? It didn't take long for the wolf to sense them. But it didn't run. Instead, it stood still, piercing them with its bright eyes, as if waiting for something, a sign, perhaps. Jack felt a strange bond forming at that moment, something almost mythical, drawing him closer to the creature before him. "Stay alert," he murmured to the crowd. "This is bigger than us." But what could one wolf signify? Was there more to the storm than wild weather? The question lingered in the air, thick with anticipation, as Jack felt the collective heartbeat of the group shift once more. And just as they steadied themselves for whatever was about to unfold, he noticed a movement behind the first wolf, another figure, then another, until a small pack emerged, each wolf more stunning than the last. Could this be the turning point they desperately needed? Just then, a sudden howl pierced the night, echoing over the tumult of the storm, calling out to the depths of Jack's soul. What secret did these wolves hold? What lay ahead for them? With the wind howling around them like a symphony of chaos, Jack stood his ground, firmly clutching the flickering lantern. The snow swirled, blurring the edges of the world, but the wolves emerged with a powerful presence, graceful yet commanding. The soft glow from the lantern illuminated their majestic forms as they circled around the boy and the townsfolk, each paw print a testament of resilience and strength against the raging storm. Jack's heart raced. They came to remind us, he breathed, feeling a swell of unity within the group. The townsfolk, initially trembling in fear, began to move closer, intrigued by the spirit of the wolves standing fearless before them. This was more than just a community facing a storm, it was a connection to something greater. Look! Jack exclaimed, pointing toward the nearest wolf, its fur a blend of silver and white, reflecting the harsh light in soft shades. They are here to seek us out. It's like they understand our struggles, our need for connection. The boy beside him gasped, they want us to see that we can overcome this together. His voice quaked but held a tremor of excitement. The tension in the crowd began to ease as awe replaced fear. Murmurs of admiration swelled into whispers of disbelief. It's a sign. Someone shouted, voice growing stronger, hope filling the air. We can rise, just like them. Jack watched as the wolves, now mere silhouettes against the howling winds, made their way closer, each step deliberate, embodying the spirit of unity, survival, and hope. It was then that he felt his father beside him, a silent pillar in the midst of the storm. For the first time, he sensed a crack in the hardened exterior, a glimmer of wonder lighting the older man's deep-set eyes. The wolves seemed to beckon them forward, an invitation extending beyond the icy perimeter of their fear. We can take their example, Dad. Jack urged, his voice rising above the storm. Their strength is in their pack, together. Just like us. This festival, the stories, this is our chance to be part of something bigger. His father nodded slowly, stunned but captivated by the unfolding scene. Maybe there's truth in this, maybe, he murmured, the doubts of the past softening, the whispers of the crowd transformed into a murmur of agreement, invigorated by a shared understanding. Jack encouraged them, his voice harmonizing with their energy. Let us become the pack Maple Hollow needs. We can face the darkness together. Just like the wolves. With each word, Jack felt the weight of their fears disperse. The storm, once a source of confusion and dread, now transformed into a backdrop for their renewal. The townsfolk, boosted by this sense of purpose, began to share their stories anew, kindling their voices against the storm's ferocity. I remember, an elderly woman began, her voice steady. There were nights full of laughter, warmth, and togetherness. We had each other, and that is something we've lost. The crowd visibly absorbed her words, histories intertwining, hearts swelling with a shared commitment to remember. Jack stood back, witnessing the transformation. The wolves, almost in response to the stories echoing in the air, turned their heads towards him. He felt a sense of duty to honor their presence, to channel their resilient spirit into action. Our festival will celebrate not only our strength but also the stories of survival that these wolves represent. A reminder that we're never alone, even when the night is darkest. The energy shifted once more, tangible and electrifying. Each of them was now part of this new beginning, their voices rising together like a fierce anthem amidst the raging storm. Jack's heart soared, the harmony resonating in his chest. As the wolves howled once again, their voices intertwining with the howls of the wind, Jack watched as his father joined the rising tide of community spirit. Let us make it happen, he said, determination threading through his voice. Let us turn this festival into a celebration of every struggle, of every story. The crowd erupted into cheers, each person's energy contributing to a growing force of hope. They began to brainstorm ideas, plans buzzing through the air like fireflies in the dark. The storm raged on outside, but within themselves, they had found a flicker of light capable of piercing through, with the wolves standing as silent guardians, Jack realized they all had the strength to face their trials, to embrace the challenges ahead. This wasn't just a festival anymore. It was a promise, a renewal, a connection that could bring their community back from the brink. The wolves turned as if sensing the shift within Maple Hollow, and Jack took a moment to thank them silently, their silent partnership and his courage. "We'll honor you," he whispered, "by standing together, just as you do." And with that, Jack and the townsfolk set to work. They transformed fear into hope, darkness into light, turning the wild storm into a reminder of their collective resilience. Maple Hollow was waking up in unity, in love, and in strength. They were ready to embrace what lay ahead, standing strong as a pack against both the storm and the challenges of tomorrow. As dawn broke, illuminating their path, they saw the wolves silhouetted against the rising sun, powerful and free spirits of strength watching over them as they blossomed into a new chapter. Together, this was their moment. If you felt the magic of this story and want to see more life-changing tales, you need to subscribe now. Hit that button to keep the inspiration flowing, and remember to leave a like right now. Your support helps share these essential narratives. Comment below with your feelings about this journey and share your own tales of transformation. And don't wait not even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to know they are never alone. Your connection makes our community stronger.